If you walked down the basement stairs of my Aunt Evelyn and Uncle Lot's house and turned right past the tool cave, you'd step into a room of enchantment. Its dimensions were 20 by 30, maybe, and it was windowless. On the wall to the right was a framed question. What baseball score do these pictures illustrate? Below was a triptych depicting 1, a bottle of scotch emptying its final drop, 2, a bare-breasted lady, and 3, a toilet. You lifted up a piece of paper for the answer. Last of the 5th, 2 out, nobody on. 12-year-old me found this clever. Besides, it was the only time I was allowed to look at a pair of naked boobies without my mother pulling me away. I could look at them again and again. I could ponder. At the far end of the room stood a little bar with lots of glasses Uncle Lot called highballs. Above was a photo of Evelyn and Ott standing on the deck of a cruise ship embarking for Bermuda with all of Evelyn's rich widow friends. Nearby was a glass painting of a waterfall, and if you plugged it in, something behind the glass would turn, and the waterfall would look almost real. There was a button that you were to push if you had any complaints, except it had a little hole in its center, and when you pushed it, a needle came out and stuck you in the finger. Best of all, there were 2 nickel slot machines. My sister and I would ask Uncle Lot for nickels whenever we visited, which as a family was only on Thanksgiving. Ott was bald, fat, and jolly, and would sing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" in a beautiful tenor voice. But Evelyn was distant. Thanksgiving consisted of their grown children, my older cousins, and their grandchildren, and us. I was in between. I had to play with the youngers in the bar while the grown-ups had highballs upstairs and laughed. After turkey, I got into political discussions with my older cousin Joe, who was conservative and made me feel stupid and angry. Once my younger cousin Chris punched me in the stomach. I never fit in. Kind of like the bar. The house was tidy and tasteful. Not the bar. It had a painting of 9 dogs standing upright waiting to pee in a fire hydrant. It had a painting of 6 dogs playing poker. It had a little mechanical hobo that if you pushed a button would dance and hold out his hat for a tip, and another with a doctor who would drink from a bottle and then pretend to operate on someone, his nose glowing red behind the surgical mask. When I was in high school, Aunt Evelyn had an operation that removed part of her brain. She was never sure who I was after that, but she was nicer. None of her rich widow friends came to visit. There were no more Thanksgivings. One January, rewiring something under the sink, Ott electrocuted himself. Evelyn went into a nursing home, and whatever mind she had left sailed to Bermuda. The house was turned into apartments and sold. I never visited the bar again. A few years ago, on a trip back to my hometown, I went to pick up a peach pie from a lady who baked them in her home. It was Evelyn and Ott's home. And when I told her who I was, she invited me inside. She and her husband had lovingly restored the house. It was tidy and tasteful. And when I asked her if the bar was still in the basement, she smiled and said, yes, it was. This made me happy. As happy as last of the 5th, 2 out, nobody on. As happy as if I had just had a highball.